Hello, everyone. Good morning, good day, good evening, depending from where you are watching African Hour. African Hour is a program dedicated to discussion about Africa, the world at large. We bring special guests to examine issues that concerns our continent. Today we will be focusing on Cameroun. Our guest brings perspective and stories worth listening. Again, African Hour has been on the air since 2000. It's my distinguished honor to welcome from the bottom of the mother continent in Pretoria, South Africa, Professor Azong. Professor Azong, you are welcome on African Hour. And from the bottom tip of Africa, right across the Atlantic Ocean to Alabama, the famous Tuskegee University, I would say the famous Black University here. Please welcome a regular guest on African Hour, Professor Bill G. I want me to think about this one. Now where they talk say election. Every time for election come, they don't come promise say they will do this one. Another one, I be here recently, they say they will build football stadium, new football stadium for Bamenda. Another one, they will say they will tar this road or they will do it for Southwest for Seaport also. I just want me will look at the lifestyle of a politician. Time where they want for fool you, they can't lie. And I want one thing where me we focus on. If politics never take care of the lives of the people, and if we see and say some of the people where we the talk say will be one Cameroon, indivisible. And within that one Cameroon, some Cameroonians, they suffer them, they burn their property. They say me wanna go for a place where wanna come. And they talk specifically for some video where they come out where people where they come out for Southwest and for Northwest, they go for that side for French Cameroon, when Eastern region or Central region. They talk say me then go for place where they come. We talk now for two country or we talk now for the same country. I want me to just touch that one and throw our own suggestion or ideas about the election and the thing where politicians that they do them now, thing where we expect them may they talk about the suffering of our people. No one of them no they talk about what did they fear.
Thanks, moderator, powerful. If we are honest to ourselves, a country that has been at war now for close to 9 years. Villages have been burnt down. Administrative offices are now under what we call bush encroachment. Schools have been encroached by forests and places have been destroyed in villages across southern Cameroon. And we're talking about elections. As a Southern Cameroonian, I don't see how our people will go to participate again in another sham election that would only go to maintain these power grabbers in power. How can we organize? I mean, let's take the example of in Europe there, the war raging on between Ukraine and Russia. The Ukrainian government took a decision not to organize elections until that situation, the war is resolved, the conflict is resolved. Have we resolved the problem in southern Cameroon? Have we revisited this union between La République and Southern Cameroon? Have we redefined the future for our people to genuinely go to the ballot box and cast their vote for those they want to govern them? So how can we really talk about election? For me, I mean, that's we need to really ask that question. What would elections today produce for our region? And even for La République du Cameroun. The chief power grabber who's been in power, as my colleague Prof. Ndi said, we should not even talk about 43 years, but he's been in power since 1960 to 61. He's not prepared to leave power. People are going to vote for a sculpture or a photo that is there at the presidency. Do Cameroonians really believe that we can determine the fate of that country through the ballot box when Atanganji is there threatening everyone in the country? I don't know. There are people who still believe that we should all go vote and change things in Cameroon. I participated in the 1992 presidential election. I was one of the grassroots campaigner for the Social Democratic Front. And we thought we'd won that election. General excitement in the place. For the first time, Southern Cameroonians were hopeful that something beautiful will happen to the country. But what happened the following day? Election results were declared in Yaoundé. The Excel sheets were turned upside down, were sorted differently, and the first became the second.
Not to cut you short, Prof.
Yeah.
And many years after, the truth is revealed by them that Furundi won the election.
He won the election. Is it today that those same guys who are still in power today, the same names, the Buba Bellos, the Cheruma, whosoever, they are the same people who are still in power. Laurent Esso, Minister Laurent Esso, he was in government. It was, I think, the Chancellor of the University of Yaoundé when I was in Yaoundé. The same names, the Famendongo, I think Prof already mentioned. The same people are. Do you think these people will give up power? Do you think they will allow us to go to the ballot box? Will not really change the election? So go still change something for Cameroon? I think they try to manipulate elections for Senegal. With the former president, he want to try for continue to stay for power. The people say, no, we're not going to allow you to continue. Cameroonians, the Larapu, we fit even talk for French. For more than 30 years, I don't abandon French. So I don't even really talk the issue for French. But we need to tell them, say, look, we're not be disenfranchised, we're not be happy with the situation where they were ground. We're not go sit also rub on a hand, allow this power grab as they may they continue. Or not don't be prepared for hook up, stand up, say, no, this situation must change. That's the only thing you have to do to our Francophone brothers and sisters. Time don't reach for get up, say no, enough is enough. Time don't reach for really stand up and say we're not going to continue like that. When I see what we don't do for Southern Cameroon, we talk for our brothers for Southern Cameroonian, whether any election or they will go for governor's office, they go fill ballot box, they can go down, they go count. So we really talk now for La Republic citizens, say time don't reach. Una not go begin take sardine and bread, the chop. And una not turn the thing into some theater, because when you see even for social media, they make that Jean-Michel Kang about the whole thing. They need to take them serious. That's one thing with our Francophone brothers and sisters. They need to ever take anything serious. I think my colleague, Prof, if you can really talk for them in their own language where they feel understand. So they joke about the whole thing. They make that their fun. They make that their Jean-Michel Kang about the whole thing. While their country it died ago. So now my own take that on this election matter. Thanks.
Well, Professor Elson, thank you very much. And you don't pass the baton now to Professor Ndi. And I want to rephrase the topic that we are on in French so that Professor Ndi will talk. Nous disons que le pouvoir du peuple est plus important que celui des personnes au pouvoir. Professeur Ndi, parlez à nos frères et sœurs francophones. Comment si le peuple en pouvoir abuse le pouvoir du peuple? Qu'est-ce que le peuple feront?
Thank you very much. Before I go talk for French, I want to address a number of things. I want first talk for Southern Cameroonians. The one the way they think say that election, it go get anything for do. You know they go fight chop chair for your neighbor house. That's the first thing. If your neighbor die, you pikin the one cast chop chair. No push a pikin say may go stalk who. Whether die a neighbor pikin a friend be na a papa, you pikin be na a friend. Say, oh no, go talk say may they put na your friend chop chair. It not work that way. For the promises when you mention about politicians, they say they want build stadium. They want to do this. Make them know. Say how it is. Say for real, that promise for build stadium, TB stadium compared to 400 villages where they don't burn them for Northwest and Southwest. Where TB stadium compared to the lives them we would all lost would be spilled blood and I say one stadium. No. But I want to tell you this before I start address my francophone brother there. And na Frenchman talk, he thinks say une promesse n'engage que celui qui y croit. What it means, say wait. Say when I give you promise and you believe for that promise, blabber. I tell you say, well, I will make you king, and the crown where you go wear, it will be made with lion. It teeth them way. That lion I kill him with my hand. You say, wow, Dr. Ndi, you be correct man. If he kill lion with hands, so they move it, they make crown for me, for wearer. That one I have business. So more will not fool with self. We dey say the chief papa for Etudi, he want run again. No, not be he want run. Now people that way they around ye. He not even be aware for place where they. Not be sure with America. Yes, say no still know say where they. When they ask us say, est-ce qu'il y a des gens importants ici là? Hey, est-ce qu'il y a des gens importants? We saw it. We know very well. Say he be incapacitated. Why they want fool we for belief? If of it withdraws, sit down, take your retirement, rest very well, get a dignifying retirement with nobody pursuing him. It already put into place. So for the number of years, right? For 63 years, where he done there in that power area, he never fit mentor some pikin where if it be, where if he replace he. Me, I just ask question for my people that way they watch me. If I can tell when I say I don't be professor for 20 years, and I never train anybody for be professor like me, people will now start asking and say, now which kind of professor I be?
Say now which kind of seed you don't plant them?
Now which kind of seed I don't plant them? No, we now start ask that question. Why would I not ask the same? That papa become planning on a mbanga tree where ego can die live, huh? No. So we think well. So I go beg una, I want to talk for Francophone then.
Before you talk that one, I want to say maybe we'll take a short break. Small break and then come back. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching African Hour. As you can see, based on my African regalia, from my head is representing Southern Africa, where Professor Assong is, and from covering my heart is the regalia, official regalia of Cameroon, you can call it, from Mbamenda, from the grassland region. So again, African Hour is here to discuss important issues that affects Africa, and today we are focused on Cameroon and the coming election due in October of this just few months away. I want to appreciate your time, and I'd like to thank my guest for your valuable time sharing your knowledge with my audience. Thank you very much, and let's continue the program. Professor Ndi, you were about to speak and address our Francophone brothers. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Ce message, je m'adresse plus particulièrement à mes compatriotes ou aux Camerounais, ceux de la République surtout, qui s'acharnent pour aller voter au mois d'octobre. Je voudrais faire savoir que aller voter ou soutenir les élections en cette période dans un pays qui est réduit en guerre, cela veut dire que vous ignorez une partie essentielle de ce pays. Le Cameroun ne pourrait jamais prospérer sans le NOZO, comme vous l'appelez, ou le British Southern Cameroon, parce que ce fut un pays autonome qui vous a rejoint. Et vous ignorez également que ce pays, en vous rejoignant, vous leur avez refusé le droit d'être indépendant. Parce que dans les archives des Nations Unies, toutes les indications montrent que la République du Cameroun, ayant été indépendant au 1er janvier 1960, avait voté contre l'indépendance de ce peuple. Et actuellement, le Cameroun est en train de tuer, de massacrer avec la guerre. Et ça m'étonne qu'un escroc et un voleur, au nom de ministre à Tanganji, se pavane la télévision pour dire qu'il n'y a pas de problème anglophone. S'il dit qu'il n'y a pas de problème anglophone, je voudrais que quiconque qui dispute l'existence de problèmes anglophones, je lui montrerai les preuves par 4 qu'il y a bel et bien un problème anglophone, y compris de mon propre vécu ou de ma propre vécu. Je l'ai vécu et je le sais. Et maintenant, dire même que le président qui brigue un mandat et est un président qui est conscient de son environnement, ça fait rigoler le monde. Parce que ici aux Nations Unies, il y a quelques années, il est venu, il a fait l'objet du rire du monde entier. Et nous autres, nous avons payé le prix parce que les gens ne s'arrêtaient pas de se moquer de nous. Et il ne faut pas qu'on se foute de la gueule du monde. Il faudrait que vous, francophones, surtout je vois des vidéos, j'ai pris et je souhaite me tromper. Je voudrais que tout ce qui est qu'on voit, que ce soit des montages, des IA, parce que je me dis, est-ce que les gens ont si faim au point de vendre leur avenir pour un morceau de pain, une boîte de sardines et une petite bouteille de sang sucré? Parce que j'ai vu le jus qu'on vous sert, ce n'est pas du jus, c'est du sang. La couleur de ce sang ou de ce jus n'est pas par erreur. C'est très très symbolique. On vous fait boire soit votre sang, soit le sang de vos frères. Est-ce que nous n'apprenons pas du monde dans lequel nous vivons? N'est-ce pas? Il devait y avoir les élections dans un pays comme l'Ukraine. Les Ukrainiens n'ont-ils pas refusé qu'il n'y ait pas d'élection jusqu'à ce que la guerre s'apaise? Je peux poser autant de questions, mais je demande tout simplement aux Camerounais, réfléchissez. Ne parlez pas d'ingérence de l'étranger. Je parle comme digne fils d'origine Tchamba et Tikar. Si vous ne savez pas où se trouve le peuple Tikar ou le peuple Tchamba, allez vous renseigner. Je suis un digne fils de Tikar. Et je demande aux Camerounais qui s'amusent avec la vie des autres, croyant que la politique c'est un terrain où il faut s'amuser, où il faut pas prendre des gens au sérieux, il faut comprendre que le pouvoir dans tout pays souverain demeure entre les mains du peuple. C'est ça la démocratie. La démocratie électorale n'est pas la démocratie. Vous avez pratiqué la démocratie électorale dans ce pays depuis la nuit de temps. Je me souviens étant enfant quand Amadou Ahidjo organisait de ces trucages d'élections et il se levait le lendemain avec des résultats de 100%. 100% d'élections dans un pays, cela veut dire il n'y a même pas de fourmi qui est contre vous. Il n'y a pas un chien qui aboie quand tu passes parce qu'il n'est pas content de ce que tu fais. Que pensez-vous? Que vous arrêtez de vous foutre la gueule du monde? Camerounais, réfléchissez. Qu'on ne vient pas vous tromper, qu'on va construire les stades. On construit les stades alors qu'il n'y a pas des écoles. Même des écoles qu'il y a. Il y en a qui finissent l'école, qui ne trouvent pas de quoi faire.
Il n'y a même pas de bonnes routes.
Pas de route. Rien à montrer. Et vous dites, vous allez. Quel est le projet d'avenir, les projets de loi du candidat ou bien des candidats qui se présentent aux élections? Est-ce que c'est simplement s'acharner pour avoir le pouvoir, pour le plaisir d'avoir le pouvoir? Je pense que lorsqu'on brique un mandat, il faut avoir un agenda, il faut savoir ce qu'on va faire. Il ne faut pas simplement se dire, moi, je brigue un mandat parce que je veux être président. Dans d'autres sphères, moi, je suis président, j'ai brigué un mandat pour être président de l'association panafricaine des écrivains parce que j'ai une idée en tête pour prospérer l'organisation. J'ai une idée pour faire avancer l'organisation. Je n'ai pas brigué un mandat pour le plaisir de briguer un mandat. Si je n'ai rien à contribuer, et là, je vais me décliner. Et j'ai posé la question tout à l'heure en parlant en pidgin, et j'espère que vous l'avez compris. que moi, en tant que professeur d'université, si je vous dis que j'ai été professeur pendant 20 ans ou plus et que je n'ai formé aucune autre personne qui puisse être professeur de ma qualité, qu'est-ce que vous allez dire? Est-ce que vous allez me prendre au sérieux que depuis 1962, que Paul Biya est dans les rouages du pouvoir, ok, qu'il n'ait pas pu former quelqu'un qu'un jour pourrait le remplacer, qu'il s'acharne à mourir au fauteuil du président.
Après Biya, c'est le déluge.
Non, il faudrait pas que nous nous trompons avec cette pensée de l'après-moi, le déluge. Le déluge, le pays est plus grand que n'importe qui. Le pouvoir du peuple est plus grand et important que n'importe qui est au pouvoir. Et il faudrait que vous le sachiez et que vous l'appreniez et que vous le pratiquiez en tant que des citoyens qui œuvrent, qui voudraient la liberté. La liberté n'est pas marchandable. Ce n'est pas une marchandise. On ne marchande pas la liberté. On ne truque pas la liberté. Et si vous truquez ou si vous troquez la liberté, cela veut dire vous êtes votre propre prisonnier, vous vous prenez dans le piège, votre propre piège pour être prisonnier. Moi, je vais m'arrêter ici, mais j'espère que, vu tout ce qui se passe dans ce triangle que vous appelez le Cameroun, et j'ai eu, il y a quelques minutes, des nouvelles que Maurice Kamto a été exclu de la liste électorale. Moi, je me dis, si un Camerounais, il va voter en novembre, la question n'étant même pas un fan de Kamto, parce que Kamto lui-même, il ne voyait pas le problème anglophone comme un problème. Vous appelez problème anglophone, ce n'est pas un problème anglophone, c'est la guerre contre les anglophones au Cameroun. Le Cameroun est en guerre contre les anglophones. Cette guerre n'a même pas commencé, simplement, il y a de cela 7 ou 8 ans. C'est une guerre qui a été menée depuis la nuit de temps, dès que le Cameroun allemand a été sous tutelle des Britanniques et des Français. Donc, il va falloir que les Camerounais comprennent. En tant qu'historien des idées et des mentalités, je pense que pour que le Cameroun soit libre et indépendant, il va falloir une révolution des mentalités. Tant que nous ne révolutionnons pas nos idées, nos mentalités, le Cameroun resterait toujours en guerre contre soi-même. Un peuple contre l'autre. En novembre, je vous dis simplement, ne perdez pas votre temps pour aller à l'élection. Je vous dis merci pour votre écoute.
Professeur Ndi, merci beaucoup. Et si le Cameroun considère les Camerounais occidentaux, les Camerounais, ils diront qu'il y a un problème camerounais. Diront comme ça, disent qu'il y a deux Cameroun. Il y avait un Cameroun oriental et un Cameroun occidental. Et le problème dit Cameroun, le problème d'anglophone, aujourd'hui, si le Cameroun est pour tous les Camerounais, il n'y aura pas un problème anglophone. Il a seulement un problème camerounais, n'est-ce pas?
Ouais.
Disant qu'il y a un problème des anglophones, c'est disant qu'il y a une partie de Cameroun qui n'est pas camerounais. Merci beaucoup, prof. Et je voudrais aussi adresser à nos frères et sœurs francophones que le Cameroun est pour tous les Camerounais. Le Cameroun, la gouvernance des Camerounais n'est pas exclue à certains individus. Merci beaucoup. Professeur Ndi, vous avez parlé et je vous apprécie et je vous dire merci beaucoup. Coming back now, please, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard a lot about our guest. Right now, I really want it to be a little bit personal, that many people say that there's no Anglophone problem. If we all are Cameroonians, and if you start asking individual Cameroonians from the West of the Mongo. I would not really say Anglophones. We are Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians. Anglophone is just because we are speaking English. But before that, we were there and we are. If you ask any of us for this more than 60 years, for us to give a testimony of what has become known as the Anglophone problem, every Anglophone has a story to tell, and it's a nightmare that if you ask each and every Southern Cameroonian, Ambazonian to tell their nightmare, it will be like asking a Palestinian to tell them what they've gone through or what they are going through. But we have endured all this while, and even there are some reputable Francophones who say that Anglophones, English Cameroonians, love Cameroon. The situation in which we find ourselves is that which is imposed on us. Could you please share a little bit of some of your experiences that will really tell Minister Atanganji and our brothers from the other side of the Mongo who are looking just the shoe from the outside, but they have never worn our shoes and trek the path that we have come from. I think that this part will really bring us home. Open to you, to anyone to go ahead, please. I talk now say that they talk say Cameroon, the problem for Cameroon, na Cameroon problem. Some they talk say Anglophone problem. If they talk say Anglophone problem, means some people they inside Cameroon where they not be Cameroonian. That the reason that way they talk say some problem they with na Anglophone problems. And some people they deny say problem no day. I want just for opener for my panelists, my audience, may wanna listen. Some of them will identify with the why we all the talk say we get problem for Cameroon when an Anglophone problem. So maybe I try now for floor, me wanna talk. If we talk for English, if we talk for French, if we talk for country talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Powerful. Some of us have experienced the discrimination. We've experienced what most minority groups in the world have experienced. We are a minority in Cameroon in the current geopolitical and geographic sort of boundaries of what is called Cameroon. We're a minority. And like every other minority group in the world, where minority rights are not defined in the constitution, in the rule of law in that country, the majority takes upon themselves to play with power and abuse the minority in the way they like. And anybody who says any Anglophone who has not experienced this may probably not be very honest. We have played the second-class role in that country for far too long. Deputy, assistant, every important position, even when an Anglophone is appointed as the director, you will have an assistant who has more powers. They would appoint an assistant and give that assistant more powers. We have a prime minister who has taken upon themselves to divide us with a post called prime minister. This time they will give it to the Northwest, the next time to the Southwest, and they keep us fighting over that post. But let's be very genuine to ourselves. What power has the prime minister got? That is an Anglophone. That's a position that has kind of been carved and crafted for the Anglophone to some sort of please us. As I said, power grabbers have a way of manipulating the system. So they've manipulated the system and say, created a position with a big name, prime minister, so that it should sound like the prime minister of the UK with lots of powers. The prime minister of Cameroon has no powers. As we speak today, look at what is happening in Cameroon with the Secretary General of the Presidency calling people at the Presidency, holding meetings with ministers, with governors, and so forth without the prime minister. So what's the function? What's the role of the prime minister? What are his duty? What power has he got? Nothing. So that is how these people have played with us for over 60 years. When you talk about personal experiences, some of us, because our parents didn't have the means to send us to Nigeria to study, because that was the fashionable thing to do in our time. Parents who had the means would send their kids to University of Calabar, Nsukka, Ahmadu Bello, Ibadan. I know all those universities. I've visited Nigeria only as a scientist, but I've never been to any university in Nigeria. But I basically can name all the universities in Nigeria because my friends went over to Nigeria to study. Those of us who went to Cameroon because our parents didn't have the means to send us to Nigeria, my brothers, we were beaten, we were abused, we were insulted, we were made to feel very small at the University of Yaoundé. We were called Anglophones. We were called Les Biafran. We were laughed at, mocked at the French that we spoke. I remember in class, if a Francophone is hungry, they would yawn up with a large mouth and say, L'Anglo are fun. You would be in the restaurant or the refectory eating, and a Francophone would say, Yaoundé fan no. You come for Yaoundé, they give you all team. You chop. Let alone the language of instruction in the classroom in the Faculty of Science. It's 99% French. In my batch of friends from the Anglophone region who enrolled in Yaoundé in 1987, we're more than 500 Anglophones who enrolled in the Faculty of Science. But I have the statistics. 12 of us ended up with a degree. And the 500 minus 12 others, where did they go to? Some ended up in the villages. If you go to the University of Bamenda today, or Boya, and ask to see a professor of mathematics, there's this 90% likelihood that it will be a Francophone. Because the maths faculty at the University of Yaoundé at the time was a no-go zone to Anglophone. What they taught there was just a continuation of the Francophone syllabus in the high school, baccalaureate, whether it's COD or whatever. Curricula and syllabi and were simply abandoned, and we had to follow the Francophones. Educational system. And so it was almost impossible to find an Anglophone in the physics and maths department because everything there was just.
Not to cut you short, is that what has really? You see, most people say the Francophones are good in maths, they are good in science. So that is the root cause. It was intentional that way, right?
It was purely intentional. I remember I sat in a physics class. This guy was teaching mechanics in French. And then suddenly he said, le repair, and I didn't know what repair was. I was completely lost. I turned around, looked at my Francophone friends, they were busy copying notes. Then this guy kept mentioning repair. I said, what is this repair thing? Is this repair in pidgin English or what is repair?
That's funny.
We were so confused. Nitrogen, what we call nitrogen, a very common thing in English, in French is azote. Something completely different. You hear teachers teach suddenly azote, and then you are lost, and the lecture is going on in a class of 3,000 students, overflowing with students. Yes. And the lecturer is there with a microphone in French. That is what some of us went through. And if you look at the entry, what they call the entry competitive exams, the Francophones call them concours, into the health faculty, what is called Qs, into Polytechnic, ENAM, all those things. It's just based on the Francophone syllabus. Tell me. That's why when you study at the University of Boya and Bamenda now, to get admission into one of those faculties, if you have not studied in French, it's nearly impossible.
And this is one and indivisible Cameroun, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When Professor Lambi attempted to organize a competitive exam into the health faculty of Boya and to admit those who have genuinely who passed the threshold that was set for as the pass mark, he was sacked as the chancellor of the university by the Minister of Higher Education. That is where we have been boxed. That's the corner in which these people have placed us. And you say there's no Anglophone problem? Some of us, according to Cameroon, were considered as not very intelligent. Because when a Francophone speaks to you, they speak with all arrogance. They see you as, your brain is not fully developed. That's why they would, give you a second-class rule.
Second-class status. They are giving it now officially and publicly.
But look at what some of us have done outside the country.
Class. Do you mean third class or second class? You should be even lucky to have a second class, because within their dispensation, they have those who are fit to be second class. That's why they have to fill your classes with Francophone teachers who would teach you English when they cannot even construct a sentence in English themselves. Go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks. Not to talk of the technical schools in Cameroon. What they CAP, they call it CAP, probatoire, baccalaureate, are children who go through the technical stream. They are taught by Francophones in broken English. That's
And
why
look, they send
hear,
all their children to come to our secondary schools for our people to teach them in good English. Everywhere around the world now, you see Cameroonians speaking English. You think that they are English speaking, but they are French origin. So this is really a calculated thing in the system.
So that's what we are really talking about. The identity that we've acquired through our history, our colonial past, has not been recognized. These guys don't recognize that identity. And I'm sorry to say, we cannot continue in this unholy union with a people. You cannot form a symbiosis with somebody who only takes from you. That's a parasitic relationship. It's not a symbiotic relationship. We just cannot continue in that situation. And our people stood up in 2016 and said, it's enough. And so it's not organizing some sham elections now that will bring a solution to that problem. So I think that's where some of us stand, and that if the Anglophone identity is not defined and protected through an independent Southern Cameroon nation, then you talked about the situation in the Middle East. We may find ourselves in a situation where we will continue in conflict for so many years. Thanks.
Well, Professor Assong, I speak for myself, and I believe my audience can identify with your pain and frustration. And those who are not Cameroonians will really ask themselves, is this true that Cameroon would have been a model of Africa in terms of bilingualism? And listening from you, I would only say that that is why going through that, most of us, we have very thick skin, because sometimes when you try to suppress people, you open doors of opportunities. They did that today. The most bilingual people around the world are Anglophones, because we are patient, we endure, and little when they found out of late that their persecution, their oppression, their torture was really opening doors of opportunity for us at the international level to be able to be more bilingual. Now they are flooding our schools and they are changing our systems. It's really very painful for us. And I pay homage to some of the Francophones who say that those who really love Cameroon are the Anglophones, because they have given all and not even complain. Professor Ndi,
Yes.
let me turn over to you to share your own experience and identify with our own brothers who are muted, who don't have these opportunities, because I believe that the more we share our pain and frustration, the more the people start understanding the Anglophone problem, that it is not just a slogan, it is what we have lived through for more than 60 years. Over to you, Prof.